they could set you up and lock you up, and they set up and put your mind in there. So we got to take that out first, okay? So before they criminalizing you, okay, and they set up, they gotta what? They gotta judge you, but it's not before a judge or a court. They got you say Judas. What does it also sound like? Judas. Judas. And pause. Right? They give you a double standard in the setup, right? From a double tongue. Claim that all men are created equal. However, it didn't end slavery or extend rights to all. That's crazy, right? So you're gonna write that, but then you didn't do what you wrote. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, so as we close, it's worth pondering, what was it that Thomas Jefferson really meant by the phrase all men are created equal? The Revolutionary War didn't abolish slavery in the United States. In fact, Jefferson himself owned 100 enslaved people. All men are created equal. When Jefferson said, okay, but then there's this larger idea here. He's saying that your ordinary man wasn't born any different than someone who was born a king. Certainly, others at the time period realized there was an inherent, like inheritance, inherent contradiction between slavery and also between the rights of women, and the idea that all men are created equal. The double tongue is so deep, man, because look at that. To be double tongue is to say one thing at a time to someone and quite another thing, another time to someone else. Let's look at this. Vocabulary.com, deceitful, marked by deliberate deceptiveness, especially by pretending one set of feelings and acting under the influence of another. The thing is, they put Janice face. Two-Face. Two-Face. Now, the interesting thing is, look at that. Ancient Roman, important that we see that. As the tongue that we speak, does it matter the history of a tongue if you speak one, especially if it's the only one that you know how to speak? So let's go real quick. Je ne parle pas le langue de l'anglo-saxon seulement. Ça, c'est pas mon nom. Non. Is a West Germanic language. Originated, right, from, and then they're using this term right here. There it is right there. Okay, so real quick, I just want to show that. Okay. See that right there? You to see what that meant when they used a West Germanic language. Let's even go, look at this right here. Damn. West Germanic language. And let's go real quick right here, right? The history of the English language really started with the arrival of 3 Germanic tribes who invaded Britain during the 400s. These tribes, look at that. You see them? Anglo-Saxons and the Jews. All right. They crossed the North Sea. See that? And there was invasion. We have to remember this right here. Okay. We have to remember this word right there. Invade. So at the time, the inhabitants of Britain spoke a Celtic language, but most of the Celtic speakers were pushed west and north by the invaders. Okay. And the Angles came from England, and their language was English, from which the word England and English are derived. Oh, look at the map, right? Germanic invaders entered Britain in the 400s. Britain and Rome have a relationship. And that's why I had to bring this one up too, because even with the Two-Face, right, you're understanding double standard from a double tongue. Okay? We have to understand, and you see ancient Roman, how do you have Roman with the English? Let's actually go to Britannica. Roman Britain. Under the rule? Wow. The island of Great Britain was under the Roman rule. British coins then began to bear Latin legends, and after Julius Caesar's raids in 55 and 54 BCE, the Romans began to regard Britain's southern tribes as vassals. Damn. Stages of Roman conquest. Look how long it is, 43 to 400. Because in English and also in the time setup, you're using an English word, okay, for, wow, look at that. For for the beginning of the calendar. And the funny thing is too, telling you about the box, they put in this in their box. We want to free ourselves from this, right? They put that lock right there. Honestly, they put it, but you can free yourself out of it. Okay, because God created you, they didn't. Nature did. It's another thing that's a box related to the setup of the race, okay, for the system. And all of it is really just to stop your development and for them to keep developing. That's pretty much all it is. And the words, the history of the movement of the language and the history of the people, because even the word that they use to try to put you in the box comes from the practice of them doing it to a similar group that was in the area around them, right? In a different time. The derivation of the word slave, all right, encapsulates a bit of European history and explains why the two words slave and Slav are so similar. They are, in fact, historically identical. Look at that. Word slave first appears in English around 1290, spelled Slav. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and just skip a little bit real quick, right? So look at this. The spelling of English slave, closer to its original Slavic form, look at that. First appeared in English in the 1500s. Latin sklavus, Slav, slave, first recorded around 800. Slavs became slaves around the beginning of the 800s, 9th century, when the Holy Roman Empire tried to stabilize a German Slav frontier. By the 1100s, stabilization had given way to wars of expansion and extermination that did not end until 1410, when the Poles crushed the Knights of the Teutonic Order. Wow. As far as the Slavs' own self-designation goes, its meaning is understandably better than slave. Of course. Even there, they're trying to give you an example of exonym and endonym. An established non-native name for a group of people, individual person, geographical place, language, or dialect, meaning that it is used primarily outside the place inhabited by the group. External name for a place used by foreigners instead of the native language, versus the endonym, okay? Synonym, common external name that is used only outside that place. Endonym, endo, also known as an autonym. Remember, autology, the study of oneself, also known as an autonym. Auto, you're naming yourself. Self-naming, name is a common internal name, right, for the same geographical place, group of people, language that is used only inside the place, okay? It is their self-designated name. We do have to break down the shackles of the box, okay? And remember, criminalizing you, okay, prejudging, judicing you. They created that. That's what they created it. They created it for this. That's what they want the structure to be. You see what's at the top. And they ain't changed.